Hello, and welcome to Real Person Reviews. I'm Sam, and I'm a real person. And today I want to talk to you about Woodle Tree Adventures Deluxe for Nintendo Switch. A game that I actually played first the original version, the not deluxe version. I started playing that a few years ago on Steam, on PC, and I never really finished it, and then I got the deluxe version on Switch, and I finished it there. So we're talking about that, and if you want the written review, that's going to be in the description. Otherwise, you're here for this one, and I got it digitally, so I don't have a thing to hold up, so let's just go. So, Woodle Tree Adventures is a 3D platformer collect-a-thon type of game, where you play as this little tree stump guy. I am assuming this character is called Woodle. You start off in this big mustachioed tree, who is definitely not the great Deku tree. Tells you how, I don't know, something's happening, and you gotta get these fairy tears in order to save the forest or something. It's not really important. It just sets up the plot point that you're looking for these three these three fairy tears in each level. So you do have a little hub you go into, and you select levels. There's just like these little spheres for each of the levels, and they unlock as you beat more of them. You go in the levels, and there are a lot of little collectibles, like these little berries that are scattered throughout the levels, and it's like, did I say around? They're scattered throughout the levels, and it's like, you can collect those as you go, and you can walk, you can run, and you can double jump. You can also attack with this leaf you're carrying to defeat enemies. And you can, it's kind of like I guess I would call it like playground style level design, where it's not strictly linear that you have to go in a certain way or do things in order, but I wouldn't say that it's big enough and open enough to really call it like sandboxy or something like that, or open world. So I kind of call that like, something like, I don't know, like a Super Mario 64 or something, where it's like you can go around these levels and there are like some objectives to do there, even if you're not necessarily forced to do anything in a specific order. The goal is to find the three fairy tears that are in the level, and then bring them to an altar that's also located in the level, and then you'll beat the level. And that's mostly what you do. The camera control is basically you can zoom it in and out, and that's it. And otherwise, the camera just kind of goes in different places contextually based on where you are. Once you beat a level, you can go to the next levels. And the berries you collect, you actually can use to unlock. I think there's like a level or two you unlock with the berries. As well as you can get some upgrades for your leaf to make your attack stronger. If you die in a level, you'll go back to whatever the last like checkpoint is, the invisible checkpoint system. You don't really lose any progress other than how far you got. And then once you beat all of the levels, you'll beat the game. The main differences, I think, in this one, as far as I could tell, from what they were boasting, anyways, were things like fixed jumping. So they improved the jumping, they improved the camera, and they added in a bonus level, just an extra level for this. And there's some good things going for this game. Like the music's all right. The visuals are very colorful, and like while they're kind of simplistic, because they're like so colorful and the way they're stylized, I like them quite a bit. They kind of remind me of like Super Mario 3D Land kind of visuals almost, where like it's more limited like look, but it's like very colorful and it's like nice. And I'm kind of a sucker for 3D platformer collect-a-thon games anyway, so it's kind of easy to go off of that kind of gameplay stuff I like. And I guess there are enough levels for being a short little game. the levels weren't crazy huge, and it didn't take a super long time to get through all the levels. In fact, I beat the whole game in a sitting. So it's pretty good for like for that kind of style of game being made that way. That's pretty good, but it does definitely have a lot of issues. Like there's not really much for stakes in this game because if you die, you just go back to the last whatever the spawn system wherever they decide to put you. So it doesn't really matter if you die. You don't have to really worry about it. Hit detection is kind of weird on hitting stuff with your leaf. Jumping can be really hard to line up and do because you don't have full control of the camera, so it's hard to, like, you can't, like, turn the camera or whatever and angle it in a way that would be easier for you to see what you're doing. You just have to deal with where it is, and it's really frustrating when the camera is just, like, you know, you're barely on camera and there's nothing you can do to make it so you're more on camera. The closest you can do is zoom way out, and then like you're more in the center because you're zoomed out so far, but you still can't really see yourself because the camera's so far away. And why can't the camera get that far away? Why can't you turn it, you know, more freely around you? I don't know. I don't see the reason behind this. And then collecting the berries. There's not much of a reason, you know, like, I mean, you get upgrades and stuff for doing that, but it's like not like there's like a limited amount and you have to collect, you know, all of them. You can just replay levels and just get berries that way, just farm berries to get stuff if you didn't get them all. So there's no reason to even go for out of the way ones because once you have all the tiers and you find the altar, like, you don't have to go and get all the berries. There's nothing that keeps track of all those anyways. So, you know, once you have enough to get all the stuff, there's not even any reason to pay attention to them anymore. Other than just your natural compulsion to get all the things you see. While I won't knock the game for a lack of much of a story or character development, or not even much of a plot really to go off of, I kind of wish there was a little more to the ending of the game. It would have felt like there was maybe a little more to it than there was. Oh yeah, and the running thing. The running was the other part that was kind of made it tough to do platforming and whatnot. Is that when you run, you're a little more slidey and slippery, and it makes it harder to land and in the place you want. So that, coupled with the rough camera, made a lot of sections really tough, and you have to just take your time with it. Or there's very few sections where running really does you much of a favor. So I don't know. There's some kinks to work out, even this deluxe version. So Woodle Tree Adventures, deluxe or otherwise, I mean, the game is cheap. If you like 3D platformer collect-a-thons a lot, which I do, then I think you'll still enjoy it. Or if it's, you know, if you're giving it to someone who's less experienced or maybe a younger audience trying to get them into it, it's simple enough, it works. It's a way to see if you're into, like an inexpensive way to see if you're really into the genre or anything anyways, and to kind of get into some of the basics of this genre of games. Again, it's cheap for that. It has problems, it has some bugs and kinks to work out that the deluxe version still didn't seem to work out, so that's unfortunate. Most people, I think, could probably pass on it, especially considering at this point, you know, like, when I first played, man, there was not a whole lot in the genre out. And since then, we've had stuff like, you know, Super Mario Odyssey, we've seen, you know, Crash and Spyro come back, and we've seen stuff like A Hat in Time, we've seen Ukulele, we've seen a bunch of stuff come out, a bunch of games that do this thing better than this game does. And all I can say is that because there's some cool stuff here, this does make me interested in Woodle Tree 2, but I don't know if I'm going to get that or not, because I'm also worried that, I mean, given that they didn't fix the stuff that still needed fixing and that they said they fixed in this deluxe version of the game, of the first one, I don't know if I have a whole lot of high hopes that the second game is magically going to fix those things, or if they think it's good enough and they're going to do it the same way they did in the previous ones. I don't know. A lot of it's just kind of up in the air still, and I don't know if I'm going to get that one and play it or not. Maybe someday, we'll see. But I'm just glad that, you know, I'm happy that there are better options to get on the Switch for the genre of games, or for the platformer collect-a-thons. There are better options than this, because if this was the representative for what the genre would be like in this day and age, that wouldn't be a great look. So it's not a terrible game. It's just kind of short, and it works as a short, smaller experience, simple experience. Don't go into it expecting a great game. Go into it expecting a fun little time, and then to be done with it.